Hello, Five Borough Wrestling fans. I am longtime independent wrestling fan Robert. 3-year anniversary, A Night to Remember was a great show from the American Legion. The night begins with Rick Cataldo coming out, and he mentions how much he's proud to be a Brooklynite, and he asks if anybody was there from Dyker Heights, asked if anybody was there from Bensonhurst, which Melissa popped to, and I forgot what other parts of Brooklyn he mentioned. He's then interrupted by Kasim Rana, who came out and was speaking Arabic or some type of Middle Eastern language, or attempting to. Cataldo interrupts him by referring to him as Habibi, and the crowd chanted Habibi at him. Cataldo said he isn't dressed to wrestle, but he said, hey, if you want a match, let's get a referee out here. And the match gets underway, and Cataldo puts Rana down with a X Factor, and that pretty much wrapped up the pre-show. So then, ring announcer Ryan Peterson welcomes us to the main show, and he introduces the Man of Steel, Mike Verna, to the ring. And Verna said, it's been 3 years since this promotion started, and I even, decided to wear a tie. And he puts the tie on, even though he had no dress shirt on at that point. And Verna brings out Troy Thompson, who founded the company. And first time ever Troy came out, seemingly came out during a segment on the show. Eventually they're interrupted by Force, PJ Stackpole, Rex Lawless, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, Anthony Gangone, AJ Spectre, and Bear Bronson, all in suits dressed to the nines. And Stackpole eventually mentioned about Stackpole mentioned about knowing that Verna was going to have to wrestle Anthony Gangone later in the night. Eventually, Tier 1's wrestling champion Darius Carter comes out, and I forgot what he said. He said Force ends up leaving the ring, as does Thompson. And Darius said to Verna, oh, you think you're a superhero, this is real life, and I forgot what else he said. And Verna takes the microphone and tells Carter's scheduled opponent, Pro Wrestling Maniac Joe Gacy, to come on out, and we have our Tier 1 wrestling title match right then and there, as eventually Darius Carter defeats Joe Gacy to retain the Tier 1 championship. Next up, our next matchup, we see the infamous Bobby Fish defeat the Dirty Daddy, Chris Dickinson, in a great wrestling match, as both men really put it on. One thing I forgot to mention, when Verna came out to start the main show, Verna announced to the crowd that they're going to have a show on Thursday night, July 20th, and they're introducing a new championship, the Wild Card title. Will the NFL sue for that? But speaking of which, we had our first quarterfinal match for the Wild Card Championship, as we had a four-way match, as we saw the Bad Apple, Matt McIntosh, defeat Tyler Murphy, Chris Payne, and Alan Lee Travis in a very good match. Up next, we saw AJ Spectre and Bear Bronson of Force, with PJ Stackpole in their corner. They took on Logan Black and Bam Sullivan for the Tag Team Championship. Eventually, something happens where Victoria Von Black goes after Stackpole, and she chases him back through the curtain. Eventually, Cyrus DeVille comes out holding Victoria by the hair, and Logan Black comes to her rescue, and Logan and Cyrus take it through the curtain, leaving Bam all by himself, and as a result, Spectre and Bronson retain the tag team championship. Next matchup, we saw Talon defeat Rex Lawless, and as a result, Talon would get to have a match with PJ Stackpole, which got underway right then and there. And Rex, who was still at ringside, he grabbed Stackpole and pulled him out of the ring, and Talon chased him to the back, and the match was declared a no contest. And they went to intermission at that point. Okay, we get back to the action as we were set to see the Space Monkey go one-on-one with All Ego Ethan Page. And Ethan says he was not going to wrestle a monkey. He says, I'll wrestle any man. I'll wrestle a man, so if you bring a man out here, I'll wrestle him. And out comes the Caveman. And I forgot what Ethan said, but he decided he would face both of them right then and there, which saw the Caveman and Space Monkey defeat All Ego Ethan Page in a handicap match. And very good work by all three of them. And I'd like to see Caveman and Space Monkey as a tag team in FBW, you know? I mean, it could be like, you know, the Prehistoric Future. That's a great tag team name. Or Prehistoric and Futuristic, or Past and Present. That'd be a great name for them if they were to be a team in FBW. And one thing I do want to point out, at one point during the match, Ethan... Let's just say, folks, Ethan Page showed why everybody should say no to crack. And if you know what I'm talking about, I will say he did that deliberately. Up next, we saw Maxwell Jacob Friedman with PJ Stackpole holding a portrait of the Greek god Papadon take on the aforementioned Papadon in a matchup. The funny thing was, the bell rang, and then Papadon took the microphone, and I forgot what he said to Friedman and Stackpole, and out of the blue, Papadon defeats Maxwell Jacob Friedman, and as a result, Papadon will, I guess, now still be a part of Five Borough Wrestling, since had he lost the match, he would have had to leave the company. Up next was another quarterfinal match for the Wild Card Championship, as we saw the debuting Denny Gavin. He defeated Orion Dove and both Elements, Pyro, Pulse, and Iceberg, in a four-way matchup. And then in the main event of the evening, we saw the Force's Anthony Gangone take on the Man of Steel Mike Verna. And this match was pretty good. It appeared Verna was about to get the 3 count, but PJ Stackpole pulls referee Steven out of the ring. Gangone tried to use the FBW Championship belt on Verna, but he missed. Verna eventually, I think he chased PJ Stackpole around, eventually got his hands on him. And then Talon comes out, and he eventually gets Stackpole, and he curb stomps him. Then eventually Darius Carter comes out with the Tier 1 title belt, but Verna catches him before he gets smashed in the face with it. And I forgot, eventually Gangone recovered, and he hits Verna with this go-to-sleep type move. And referee Rob Black comes out, makes the 3 count, and Gangone was victorious. And after the match, you see Darius Carter standing above a prone Verna with both the FBW and Tier 1 championship belts in his hands, until Troy Thompson and Bull James hit the ring, and Darius skedaddled out of Dodge. All right, it was personal notes time. Great seeing Melissa, Mike McNicholas, Jason Bob 87. I forgot that one dude sitting next to me. I didn't get his name. Thomas Zambito, Pete Whalen, Kevin Michael Murphy, Andrew. Nice seeing Danielle, Rhea, Destine. By the way, Rhea and Destine, your two friends are so good looking. As were many of the young ladies in the crowd. we do have some memorable quotes. You don't even know what that looks like. PJ Stackpole, when many were chanting pussy towards him. You look comfortable on your knees. Papa Don to PJ Stackpole when Stackpole had like his knees on the apron after Papa Don's match with Maxwell got underway. Didn't really get to say hello to the wrestling snobs Joey and Daniel before the show, but they did have looks like they brought signs to the shows, including "Make Us Care," which is like their favorite speech on their video recaps, and also a sign that said "Go Ticket Seller, Go." Now I'm thinking of maybe bringing a sign or two to FBW in the future, but I don't know if I want to deal with having to carry it from home and then into work and then all the way from work. I don't know if I want to do that. Let's see who else we have. Anything else I want to get into? I mean, there is something I do want to get into, and I'll get to that shortly. But I guess I'll say this right now. Again, Five Borough Wrestling returns on Thursday, July 20th. I would like to see, here's my match wish list. I would like to see the Man of Steel Mike Verna take on Anthony Gangone for the FBW Championship. I'd like to see Logan Black and Bam Sullivan take on Cyrus DeVille and the Devil's Outlaw Stockade. I don't know if there'll be any more qualifying matches or quarterfinal matches, whatever they said, for the new wildcard championship. I forgot to mention, great seeing BCW owner Anthony Cole, and great to see he's a football fan. I saw him wearing a Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I thought he had a Warren Sapp jersey on. It turned out he was wearing a Keyshawn Johnson. Keyshawn, of course, used to play for the New York Jets before he went to the Buccaneers. Also great seeing Irving Diaz. Irving, I wish you had brought your megaphone. And you're going to find out why shortly, folks. Who else do I remember seeing at this? Oh, I forgot to mention John Kurz. How could I forget him? The big dog, Steve Forge. Greg Gruber. Oh, and Facebook friends Brett and Mark. Saw them outside before the show started. Okay. Now what I want to get into is this. Now, for those who were there, you noticed there was this one group of fans, per se. They all night were chanting for Denny Gavin, who made his FBW debut. Now, I understand pro wrestling is a business and the promoters got to make the money to stay alive. But I gotta say, those fans, per se, one more time, they were basically having a virtual cream fest when Denny Gavin finally came out for his match. And I forgot to mention that he came out to end the chaos that revolved when Darius Carter had both championship belts in his hands to end the evening. But I have to say, I mean, I remember a promotion that I used to support, which no longer exists. It was known as USA Pro Wrestling, which was notorious for having many wrestlers sell tickets just to get on the show. And the thing is, those particular wrestlers would wrestle early, and after their friends and family would watch who sold them the tickets perform, those fans would leave and not stick around for the rest of the show. I truly think, with all due respect to everybody, that all who came out for Denny Gavin's match, I personally think, had his match gone on sometime before intermission, $1,000 says, yeah, $1,000 says they wouldn't have stayed for the whole night. I mean, I was so irked by them that I ended up, they may or may not have noticed, but I gave them the bird. And anyone who knows me at a wrestling show, they know I'm not like that, giving the bird to other fans. I will say, there was one dude among the Gavin gathering, shall we say. And he, was looking to go after Anthony Gangone, and thankfully he did not go over the rail. Blah, 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 blah. And also, another thing, shit, can't remember right. Oh, that's what it was. Fans arguing at the show, like during the match and stuff. What's the point of doing that, folks? And also, those that were once again chanting micro penis at Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Why the fuck are you guys looking at the man's package for? I mean, the only way you would know the size of what he's got is if you were looking at it. Like, come on! I mean, why chant that? I mean, it's like you're looking at what the dude has. I mean, come on. Why look at that? Why chant that? And it's obvious you're looking. Man, that's something. But I will say again, Five Borough Wrestling, congratulations on 3 years. I hope for more years. Definitely looking forward to July 20th. Hopefully we'll get... Oh, we need the crew section to fill up again. I mean, it didn't fill up this time around. Hopefully it will at the next show, especially the Thursday night. And man, I sure hope everybody comes out for that one, and definitely can't wait to see what's going to be titled. What a great time. I forgot to mention, it was nice seeing Thomas Scuderi. I can't even pronounce his last name. I caught him after the show. Peter Gilmore. Saw him. He was there with us as well. Pete Rosado. Who else I remember seeing at this event? I think that's about it. So definitely a great night. And FBW.